Welcome to the Black and White Bistro Show, episode 24. We're glad you've joined us today. Today, we've got a special treat for you. A black and white guest artist that I have followed for some time on Vero, and recently we discovered each other on Glass Photography, another great website app. This gentleman, I can only describe him as the master of mood and minimalism in monochrome. He's like 3M. What can I say? Julian Greaves from the UK. Welcome to our show.
Thank you, Dave. How kind of you to say that. I'm not quite sure I'm going to live up to it, but I'm deeply humbled by your invitation to join you on this platform that you put together.
Well, on this little show, you're going to be the star, and I'm just the dummy asking questions. For our viewers out there, if you look behind Julian, you can see a wonderful sampling of his work. And I got to say, it's black and white work that I am envious of. Julian's got a master touch. Julian, tell us a little bit about you and beside photography. Give us some background on you.
Sure. So I live in the UK these days in a county called Somerset, down in the south of the UK. I've had my life's been full of many interests, including surfing, rock climbing, riding bikes, generally keeping fit, and that kind of outdoor activity based stuff. I still do some of those things, but photography does take up most of my spare time when I'm not riding my bike these days. For a job, I'm a sustainability manager. I've been in environmental biology, all kinds of jobs associated with rivers and the environment, and now I'm in the private sector. Making sure that the organisation I work for delivers its services across the UK without trashing the planet at the same time. So, that's a bit of a passion of mine too. So I'm privileged to be able to work in that kind of area.
Surfing? No, I was just curious. Do you go surfing with your camera? And if so, I hope you've got a waterproof setup.
Well, I don't, and in fact, in the answer to your first question, I was going to fill in a little bit about that. So I'll save it for that.
All right, we'll save it for that then.
Yeah.
Now let's take a moment to take a break. We're going to see Julian's first artist-selected video and hear a little bit about the story behind it.
So my first photo is this one of the Shard in London, very well-known landmark. It's an important photograph to me for many reasons. I'm a country boy at heart. I grew up in the countryside. I need nature and wilderness for my well-being and sanity. And for most of my life, I've had absolutely no desire whatsoever to visit a city. This began to change shortly after I returned to photography, and I began to see photographs of buildings, cityscapes in a beautiful, dark, what I later came to understand was fine art photographic style. This really intrigued me, and I wanted to go and have a look, see if I could capture some images like that myself. So I booked a ticket on the train up to London to see what I could find. I spent the whole day traipsing around all kinds of landmarks that I'd seen other people photograph and trying to emulate the compositions that I'd seen. And this was late in the afternoon by the time I took this photograph. I was thinking of packing it up for the day, and I thought I'll just have a stop off in a cafe and have a drink and rest my feet and see what comes. So I'm just walking down the street to a cafe close to London Bridge Station, and I see this scene appear in front of me. And I just thought, oh, there's something here. There was this beautiful curving facade of the railway station with the backdrop of the jagged-edged Shard. So I spent about 10 minutes or so walking up and down the street, trying different lenses and different angles to see if I could balance these two elements in a composition. I was getting very excited about the whole business. This was real photography right here happening. And so I found a little spot tucked away at the edge of the pavement and a really low angle that I thought really worked nicely. I took a few exposures, and this one was the one that really excited me. Well, as soon as I saw it on the back of the screen, I thought I captured something that was really saying something to me. Part of the building was in dark shadow. The curving piece of the facade was largely lit quite nicely. And it was a calm day. The clouds weren't moving, and that's why I'd gone for a 3-minute exposure just to try and get some movement in the sky. And this big fluffy cloud just stayed where it was. But what you couldn't tell from the eye was that it was shrinking in the sky as the afternoon drew on. And this was captured through the long exposure. And the cloud appears to be spreading tendrils across the sky behind the jagged edge of the shard. And it's particularly important to me because this was the first time that I'd gone to the city looking for architectural photographs to take and come up with something that was really mine. I'm sure other people have taken this photograph, but at that time, I had not seen it. So it was a really exciting moment in my photographic development. And a photograph I still love to this day. So that's my first photo to share with you, and I hope you enjoy it.
Let's get directly into our interview questions. Julian, how did you get started in photography, and bring us up to the present day on your photography journey?
Yeah, sure thing, Dave. It goes back to when I was a young lad. I spent a year at art college, mostly because I didn't really know what I was going to be doing with myself. I had a bit of a penchant for art in different ways. I was actually studying ceramics, and one day a lady cornered me in the ceramics room and talked to me non-stop for about an hour about photography and about monochrome. And I didn't really know what she was talking about, but it did spark an interest. So I went away after that and sort of, found out some more about it. Quickly came across a book by Ansel Adams, or some photographs by Ansel Adams. Of course, back in those days, this was 1980, 80-ish, something like that. There was no internet or anything, and I found an Ansel Adams book in a secondhand bookshop. And I was absolutely blown away, and it sparked an interest in me that has remained ever since. So I got myself a camera. I started off with a Russian Praktika camera, which lasted me about 6 months before it clapped out. But by that time, I'd got a job and was able to earn a bit of money, and I saved up for a second-hand Nikon FE and a Tamron kind of 24 to 70-ish zoom. I can't remember the exact lens, but it's something like that. And a tripod, and went off trying to emulate these photos that I'd seen of Ansel Adams. So right from the beginning, it was black and white photography that was, pushing me along. I got various, books and photography magazines and that kind of thing. And the color photography in there just didn't kind of light my fire. I've no idea why it was. And lots of the stuff that in those days was about experimental photography using filters to give different effects and that kind of thing. That didn't light my fire much either. So I set myself up a little darkroom at home to try and learn how to process the images, because, of course, taking the image is just, the first step. And Ansel Adams' process was not just about taking the photograph. It was visualizing what it was he wanted the image to look like, and then taking it step by step, making the photograph, processing it and printing it to end up with this final image that he, conceived of in the first place. So I had my own bathroom at home. I was fortunate to have enough space in the house to build a darkroom, and I spent a couple of years really failing to emulate Ansel's work. But every now and then, an image would work its way onto the paper, and you'd hang it up and try it, and there was something special, something there. So that was the beginning of my photography journey. But then, as we touched on, after a couple of years, I made a fatal mistake, and that was to go surfing with a mate one day. In the UK back in those days, surfing was virtually unheard of, apart from a small group of people who lived down in Cornwall in the southwest. And I remember it clearly to this day. We drove down through the night, and my friend Gary had the last stint, and he woke me up in the van in the early morning beside the sea, and I kind of rubbed my eyes, and for the first time in my life, I saw these waves kind of rolling in, and there were people out having a dawn session in the sea, and it was like a switch flicked. Nothing in my life mattered anymore except going surfing. And I tried to couple it with photography, but the style of photography that I was interested in wasn't sports photography or anything like that. And any time that I wasn't actually surfing was time that I could be. So photography kind of fell by the wayside, which was a shame. But I had other things burning inside me, so I got on with those. And then, of course, over time, I met a lady, had children, had a mortgage. Did all of the things in life that gives you no time to do anything. And so, photography was just it was always in my mind,
even further back.
Further away. But it was always in my mind. Then, in 2017 or 18, bringing us, much more up to the present day, I was watching a wildlife series on the telly, and the cinematography was unbelievable. The landscapes with the wildlife in it was just breathtaking. And I turned to my wife at that moment. I said, I've had enough. I'm going out to buy a camera. So that was it. I was back into photography. I never looked back. Then bringing us up to the modern day, we had YouTube, which meant that there was it was a platform to learn everything you needed to learn about anything, and photography particularly. And I followed landscape photographers like Thomas Heaton and Nigel Danson. I'm sure many people watching will know who they are, and many others, and kind of refreshed myself in the skills of landscape photography. And went out to emulate them. And of course, most of that was in colour. Over it only took a few months for me to realise that running around chasing blistering orange evening sunsets and an early morning, skies all lit up and all that kind of thing, that was all the rage, just wasn't really doing it for me. I'd love to be out at those times, but the photos themselves, there was something about them that I didn't find that engaging for myself. So I felt myself quickly leaning back to black and white photography. And the other thing that I learned that was a realization about my own photography, which has developed kind of slowly over time, is that the received wisdom in landscape photography generally, and I'll go back to Ansel on this, is that the goal is to lead the viewer's eye through the scene So you would have some
Yeah.
foreground interest leading to the midground, and then your subject or whatever in the background. And this is the format that I was always looking for in the landscape. But what I found was when I was getting back to the digital darkroom these days, I was just compelled to, I don't need that in there. I don't need that in there. I don't need that in there. And my images were becoming less and less pixels, but more and more concentrated on the subject itself. So I was learning about what I was interested in photography, or what I was interested in for my images. And so over time, I just, stopped including all those other elements and focused on the subject. And so you'll be aware, Dave, after, following me for some time, that most of my photos are just a subject. There might be some other interest, but I use light to draw the viewer's eye to my subject, or the parts of my subject that I'm interested in.
It's one of the things that I love about your work is the combination of minimalism, but with deep content. It's one of the things that really struck me about Michael Kenna's work.
Yes.
And I've gone and looked through a number of Kenna's photo books. And for those listeners who may not know it, check out Michael Kenna, Kenna. The man has been shooting black and white minimal for almost 50 years. And he's alive and shooting today. And it's amazing. I had a similar experience to you, is that with black and white, I think I was seen in black and white almost from the get-go. I just kept gravitating back to light, shadows, textures, patterns, and shapes. And that's what kind of lit my fire under black and white. And what's driving my shift now from digital to back to film. And I jokingly call it the reverse epiphany. And for me, that's what really drives black and white. It's for someone who's really got the gift, someone who really tries. You have to be somebody very strong like yourself to be able to see that subject and to feel it and to bring it up so that when someone looks at that image, there's no doubt about where the eye is supposed to go.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Yes.
And it's one of the things. There are 3 people that I can look at the image without reading any comment, and I go, "Oh, that's one of them is you. That's Julian." Another one is Juan Carlos in Spain on Vero. Juan Carlos Pascual Lopez. I see one of his photos, I know it's his immediately. And the other is a South African Vero photographer. You might know him, Robert. Robert does the most incredible black and white
Oh, yes.
profiles. And it's like, oh my goodness. You just look at it and grab it. It really is a signature style.
Yes, indeed.
Go ahead.
Go on.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it's easy to pull out the names of famous photographers as inspirations for your work, but with the social media platforms, and I'll include the one that shall not be named, Instagram, that I just named it, and others. There is so much talent out there to draw inspiration from, not just from black and white, but from across the piece. So many photographers that everybody has something about their work that is theirs, just some little nuance. And so it's a wonderful time to be a photographer now, to have so much of this influence. Of course, there's nothing new in photography, but it's just about people's personality showing through in their work.
Who are the top 2 mentors, people you really admire and respect, that fuel your love of black and white photography, and what is it about each of them that is special to you?
Oh, top 2, that's difficult to boil it down.
2.
Right. Well, I mean, Ansel I've already covered, obviously.
True.
So I would say Joel, I think you pronounce his name, Chinchilla. We haven't spoken at all about architectural photography, or much about architectural photography yet. And during my latter photography journey, I, through the medium of Instagram or through the platform of Instagram, I started to see photographs of architecture in this fine art, dark kind of a style.
Yeah.
So it didn't take me long to follow that back to its roots, who I think was Juliana Gospodadu, or I'm mispronouncing her name, and I'm sorry, Juliana, if you're listening. And Joel Chinchilla, whose name I'm also mispronouncing, a Dutch guy. So his work is absolutely exquisite. His architectural work, and it's something that I have really was the source of inspiration for me to emulate. My journey through architecture has been inspired by his work.
2 excellent choices. I know both of them, and they're really, really powerful.
Yes, powerful indeed.
Joel's work it sucks me in. I mean, the longer I look at it, I'm actually leaning in towards the screen or the page if I see it in a book.
Yes.
That's the power of black and white photography.
Joel deconstructs the buildings and then uses shade to reconstruct the elements of the buildings. And the level of planning that goes into his final images, pardon me, to control the contrast of shade between the elements where they interact is just exquisite. And of course, a cursory glance won't tell you that, but as you say, you look at it and it draws you in, and the more you realize how much effort and control has gone into making the images harmonious.
Make sure that you join us next Saturday, April 5, for part 2 of this wonderful conversation with Julian Greaves.